Well, what is going down, everybody? Welcome back to another very special Am I Still on the Air? Yes, we are. And tonight we are here for the Thunderbolts spoiler review. We are back in the MCU, the 36th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We try to be here for all of them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we're here. We're here for this one here, kicking off the summer movie season, bringing you some Thunderbolts. So very happy to be here. My name is DONMEGA. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here once again. And joining me tonight, my boy Frigginz. What is going down? Frigginz, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back, man. Man, it's been a minute. I'm so excited to talk some Marvel with you. This just is bringing me back to some old days of us sitting around talking about this stuff. So it's like I said, it's been too long. I'm really, really excited.
It has been too long. I know for those of you that are keeping count, we did not do one for Captain America Brave New World. I do apologize. I've talked about it on the main show that, it kind of hurts. It hurts my heart that we did skip one because we try with all the Marvel movies to be here and do it. It's just unfortunately timing when that one came out. There was a lot going on. Just wasn't able to swing it. We'll touch upon Brave New World more at the end of this show because we got to at least give some quick thoughts for sure to kind of try to make up for it. But tonight we're here for Thunderbolts. Again, I am DX DONMEGA. You can give me a follow along on all the social media tags there, representing Am I on the Air? And of course, once again, my boy Frigginz over here with a Z. So make sure you follow along on all the social medias there. So again, very happy to be here. It's been a hot minute. Like I said, 36 films, man. We are back again. It's nuts. It's nuts. We are wrapping up phase 5 here with the Thunderbolts, man. I can't believe, in 2008, we kicked off with Iron Man phase 1, such a little thing, little project going on. And here we are 36 films later, wrapping up phase 5, which is pretty damn insane. So, since it's been a minute, let's talk here kind of going into it. As we always do, we try to go in talking about what are our overall thoughts, as we kind of build up to a movie and we're getting ready to go in and we're ready to see it for that first time. Where's our headspace at, right? Are we excited? Are we just kind of meh? How was the marketing? How was the buildup? Were we ready for this basically Marvel version of the Suicide Squad? That was what everybody was wondering for. That's what we were waiting for here. The ragtag group of people slapped together, anti-heroes. Can they work together? Can they get the job done? And that brings us to the Thunderbolts asterisk. Which we'll talk about. And again, I'm going to warn y'all for the last time, it is spoilers. As always, this is a spoiler review. So we are going to be getting into what happened in this film. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want to be spoiled, bookmark this, go back, come back later after you've seen the movie, and we'll talk about it some more. So spoilers, last warning there. So Frigginz, this is our second movie of the year. Like I said, we had Captain America, Brave New World, kicking things off back in February. Now we have Thunderbolts. We got Fantastic Four coming out in July. So we got 3 big MCU films. We're wrapping up phase 5. Phase 6 is right around the corner. Where was your headspace at going into Thunderbolts? Were you excited? Were you thrilled? Were you kind of like, meh? Where were you at, man, for a movie like this in the MCU?
It's weird because when you think about the Thunderbolts, they have a history of being the more, anti-hero group team, right? And so you should expect a little bit more violence, not necessarily the do-gooders, but those, tough guys that will do good in a bad way. And that speaks to me. I mean, like, you guys have all heard me talk about, like, want everything to be rated R, and like, I want to kill the bad guys, like, not just like, put them in jail or whatever. Like, so it definitely spoke to a lot of the themes that I like to see in our anti-hero type stories. That being said, like, when we did our top 10 breakdown for the year, I had Captain America actually above it. I was more excited for Captain America than Thunderbolts. And I had a really, this one was interesting. I had a very roller coaster ride with coming up to this film. there was some moments where I got really excited for the anti-heroes, and then I was just kind of like, but I don't really care for half of them. And so, it's just, I feel like a Thunderbolts team might have had a couple other better options than some of the ones that they chose. However, they stuck to what we've seen in the MCU, and I did have to appreciate that. So as we got closer to the release date and seeing some trailers, the excitement actually did go up quite a bit. And of course, the curiosity of the asterisks after the name Thunderbolts was a big topic through the internet. So that kept my curiosity gears turning. And yeah, I mean, it truly, like, the best example I can give for my overall like anticipation was very roller coaster, like ups and downs.
Yeah, this is a tricky movie, man, because like I said, everybody instantly compared it to Suicide Squad, and it was just okay. So we're talking about kind of C-level characters. You throw in Bucky, people from some movies that people didn't like, and then you got some characters from the Disney Plus shows, and it's just kind of like, okay, this is an odd kind of pairing. Is this going to work on the big screen? And of course, with the marketing too, number one, you have the asterisks, and you're just wondering what is that going to turn into.
Right.
Obviously, it was something that they had planned all along. And then on top of that, they had Bob, right? And it was
Right.
just Bob in all the marketing. So they never ever explained that this was Sentry or that they were dealing with the Void. It was all kind of hidden. And that's always a risk when you hide stuff like that from your general audience. So yeah, it is kind of a roller coaster ride because you're just hoping for the best. There was obviously big positives here. Obviously, Florence Pugh, right? Elena
Right.
coming back. She's
The
been such a
biggest.
breath of fresh air in the Marvel Cinematic Universe from the second we met her in Black Widow
Oh yeah.
to her being in the Hawkeye series. Anytime she's popped up, she's been incredible. She's such an awesome actress, and you knew she was going to kind of lead this thing. Bucky's always a win. Red Guardian's always a win. Ghost I liked, but obviously we had just a very small piece of what Ghost could do back in Ant-Man and
Right.
the Wasp. Taskmaster, what could they really do with that based off Black Widow? And then John Walker, I hated the dude. I hated
Hey,
that guy.
me too.
And
Oh,
in Falcon and Winter Soldier, I could not stand that guy. So I was kind of like, why are they throwing this dude in here? And we'll get to see how that all turned out, but it's a risk, man. It was a roll of the dice, especially
yeah.
in a time when a lot of people are kind of turning on Marvel. A lot of people are kind of thinking like, oh, it's all downhill.
Right.
Is this the
Yeah.
time to do a movie like this, right? And then
Yep.
Captain America Brave New World comes out, doesn't do all that hot, does just okay. Some people really liked it, some people did not like it. It was very divided. So then it's like, oop, there's a lot stacked against Thunderbolts. Is it going to be a win or not? And
Yeah.
here we go, right? So let's talk about it, man. Opening night, we get in there, we go into the theater, we check it out. I know you didn't get to see it till Sunday. Were you able to stay, first of all, away from any of the spoilers, away from what the asterisk meant? Were you able to stay away from most of it by Sunday?
So I will say that the Sentry and Void is a spoiler for me only in the fact that I already knew who Bob was, like through the comics, the character. So I was definitely aware of who Bob was going to be and the alter ego. So none of that was a surprise to me just because of my comic knowledge. The big spoiler about the title change that had not been spoiled. I actually made it clean, and I wasn't like some Marvel movies. I'm like, I'm going on an internet blackout. Like, I'm not watching anything. I'm not looking at anything. I think before Deadpool and Wolverine, I was pretty much like off the internet for the first couple days. I mean, we saw opening night anyway, but yeah, I wasn't avoiding stuff, and somehow managed to avoid all spoilers regarding the asterisks.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I think a lot of us knew who Bob was, even without, them kind of giving it to us. So here we go. You go into the theater, you check it out for yourself. What are your overall thoughts? What was your feeling coming out of the theater after giving it that watch?
There definitely is like hesitation at going in, right? And because of that roller coaster feeling, but there was also people talking about how good it was. So walking in, I kind of was like ready to be surprised. had a lot of hopes at that point going in on Sunday after the last 3 days of hearing nothing but good things, especially from you guys. And dude, like I couldn't, like, I was smiling the whole time. Like, it was a fun ride. I mean, there's like depressing, sad parts, and obviously you're not smiling during that part. But my point being, like, overall, like, this was just an epic ride. You know, you and I have disagreed on scale of movies sometimes, and talking about like a smaller story as opposed to a world saving kind of story. And I thought this did a really good job of balancing that, like really honing in on characters and really giving us a lot of these like character development, and at the same time having this bigger thing. And so these factors like really made me like walk out of there as like overall like pleased. Like I couldn't stop talking about it. I wanted to tell everyone to go watch it. It gave me those feelings of what I would get coming out of a Marvel movie, whereas more often than not, I did fall into the camp of saying, I didn't say that the Marvels lost it, but I did think that there was a little bit different of a quality of film that we were getting. And I'll break into more of the details when we kind of like start talking about it, what I mean by that. But yeah, overall, it was just, it felt very nostalgic of having those happy feelings of like walking out of a good Marvel film again, and just being pleased overall with the story.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I mean, I've ridden this train since 2008, since that first movie,
Yeah.
and I never turned my back. I've been diehard, man. But
Yep.
definitely, I could still sit here and say there's been some quality aspects. Like not everything's been, unfortunately, a 5 out of 5. In those first couple phases, I felt like every Marvel movie was just a 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, just killing it. And in the last couple years, they have not been, and it's been kind of sad to see. So again, going into this one, you're just kind of fingers crossed, hoping for the best. And I was floored, man. I was floored with this movie. This is a type of movie, like you said, where I thought about it like all weekend. I just kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about parts that really hit me and touched me, and just different ways things played out. Um, I saw the movie twice opening weekend. So I saw it on the Thursday opening night, on the preview night in IMAX, and then went again the next night and saw it in 3D, just to kind of give it, another watch. And it was so good the second time as well. And what I love about the second go round is just there's so many moments that are foreshadowed and talked about in the beginning that you kind of just whoop right over your head, because you don't know how things are going to play out. And then
Yeah.
once you know how the movie plays out and you watch it with that fresh pair of eyes, you pick up on so much stuff. You pick up on so many
Yeah.
little pieces that he had there, of the way it was directed and the way that things were teased, and just little things.
You know,
um yeah.
I was just gonna say, I wanted to add because you had mentioned about watching an IMAX, and you're right. Like all those little things are emphasized if you can see in a higher quality screening too. I didn't get to see IMAX unfortunately for this, but I did see in Dolby with the massive screen for a Dolby theater that we have here locally, and it truly adds to picking up on those little details and those additional little aspects. So I just wanted to like note that, like you said it when you said you saw an
Yeah.
IMAX 3D, like you get to pick up more from all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, and not just from a visual standpoint. I just mean there's dialogue and there's things that are talked about, and you're just like, okay. And then when you watch it that second time, you're like, oh, I know what that means, or I know where that's going now. And it's really, really cool. Excuse me. Yeah, I was super, super blown away by that one. And I thought, when I saw it in IMAX the first time, I saw it with my daughter and my wife, and I was thinking like, I don't know if my daughter's really gonna like this one. Like it's such a
Right.
dark kind of movie. And at the end she was like, oh, I loved it. It was so good. And she was like 5 out of 5, and she was all super, super stoked about it. And she's like, I love Yelena, and she was just glowing about the movie, which I thought was great. And my wife has been very meh on the Marvel stuff for the last couple of years, minus like a Deadpool, Wolverine. But
Right.
she walked out of this one like, I loved it too. Like she's like, man, it was just incredible. And we had such a great time watching it. And I had just that old school feel like coming out of this movie. Like when I saw it the second time, I went with our boy Geeky Pat, like because I didn't see it with him the first night I did. So he was going Friday night, and I was like stoked to be like, can I come? Like, let me join you because I want to watch it again. I want to see your reaction, and I want to like, it was just that old school vibe where you were like, man, I just want to be there with you guys, like through this again. So me and my daughter went with them the next night too and saw it the second time. I think we're gonna go see it again this weekend for a third time.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
my wife really wants to go see it again, and I'm like, let's do it. Like nothing big comes out this weekend. Let's rock it. So yeah, it hit, man. It hit hard, it hit fast, and I was very, very impressed of what they pulled off here. So that's kind of overall thoughts. Before we get into the movie, kind of just setting up kind of the premise here, as kind of the story goes. And I like, man, sometimes I just like a simple story, right? Not overcomplicated. This isn't world ending to an extent. This is just a very contained movie. And I like the way this movie is set up, right? Like that you have basically all of our anti-heroes here, kind of minus Red Guardian. They're all, and Bucky, because of course he's a congressman, he's doing his own
Right.
thing. But you got Yelena, you got U.S. Agent, you got Ghost, you got Taskmaster, and they're working for Valentina Allegra de Fontaine and
Dave.
de Fontaine. It's not Secretary of Fence. So you have them working for her. They're doing real shady shit for her. She's the head of the CIA, which we kind of really find out here. What the hell is she doing? Because she's been
Right.
so sprinkled around here and there in the MCU, and we're kind of like, okay, is she running the new Shield? Is she doing some kind of other, what is she doing? And we find out she's the head of the CIA. They're actually trying to impeach her, and but she's also doing some shady shit on the side. This Sentry program, trying to build her own superhero, right? Trying to put together, the Avengers are gone, the Avengers aren't around, so I'm going to create Earth's mightiest hero on my own. But of course, all these test subjects are not working. All these people are dying, so she's scrapping the project, and in a very twisted way, she sends each of these operatives to basically take each other out, which they find out that that's what she's doing too, right? They're collateral damage. So they're just there to basically all take each other out. But they're each are given different assignments, right? Yelena's supposed to take out Ghost, and then Walker's supposed to take out Taskmaster, and Taskmaster's supposed to take out Walker. So everybody's there to kind of take each other out. And I thought that was really cool, right? They're in this like little incineration room. It gets rid of all the stuff. That's where we meet Bob. He's released from some little, cryogenic bed that he's in and has no clue how he got there or what's going on. And of course, they escape. We go on the run. Red Guardian gets involved. And we're kind of just off to the races, right? Bob's struggling. We find out he is a superhero. He has power. He's the successful test subject of this Project Sentry. She teaches him how to use his powers. He becomes Sentry. He's badass, but there's a dark side to him, right? He fights it. He can't over control it. Him and Valentina have an out. He turns fucking into the void, and all of New York basically fades into the blackness. And it's about pulling him out. It's about being there for each other. It's about being a team. And at the end of the day, when they save the day, to avoid getting arrested, Julia Louis-Dreyfus basically says, I would like to introduce you to the new Avengers. And here we are, right? The new Avengers, being what the asterisk actually stood for. So that's kind of Thunderbolts in a nutshell. So as we kind of dive into it now, we always kind of start to kind of get the bad out the way. So Frigginz, I'll jump into you, man. What was it? What didn't we like? What stood out? Was there anything here that you're like, man, I wish they wouldn't have done that here with Thunderbolts?
I will start by saying like a lot of my negatives end up being a little bit more nitpicky, right? So like I ended up loving this team. I thought everybody did exceptional in their positions. So just what you said and the way you described it. That being said, I still think like maybe a person or two could have been added or subtracted to give us a little bit more of characters that I think are more commonly accepted or liked by the bigger crowds. I mean, Ghost was great in this. I just don't think like that's the most popular character. Same with Taskmaster, but Taskmaster served that stereotypical suicide team role, right? You always have to have that one person that gets cut right in the beginning. And actually, that was a little bit of a negative for me because I actually really liked the new design of Taskmaster. That first film,
I agree.
They were hiding the fact that it was female, right? So we thought it was this dude, like in the comics, whatever. This one, they embodied it. The suit was better. The mask was better. She was cooler. I liked how she used the shield. She was mimicking what U.S. Agent was giving us. You talked about U.S. Agent like being like such a hated character. While there's some positives for him that we'll talk about, I think the negative was the fact that it was him. Again, I think it just could have been a different character. All these have, for the most part, have been involved in the comic world, so there's no problem there. But yeah, I find that was like a big component. It was just kind of the team itself, where I don't think it was bad in this regard. I just think that maybe a couple tweaks or additions might have helped to make it a little bit, we'll say, better. I've noticed that with like Marvel, there's also been a decrease in some of the characters and like killing other people. In the first films, Tony Stark went to another country and was like straight up shooting people and blasting them with rockets. Here, Yelena's initial attack, like she's beating him. She's still like knocking him unconscious. She's shooting him with the little bite thingies. And I think they definitely got away from a lot of these characters and shooting people. But then, they kind of take it, they pick it up and they're putting it down. So I think maybe a little bit more consistency with that would have been nicer. And, I thought Sentry was going to be a negative for me because that's not a character I like. But he did well enough. I like, they gave him the costume and all that stuff. I feel like there was another negative. Oh, so the DeFontaine, right? Let's talk Val for a second. We have seen Val show up in tiny sprinkles throughout the last couple of years, right? So I want to say we first saw her, was at the end of Black Widow as the teaser where she met up with Yelena or something like that, or maybe that was Hawkeye. I can't remember exactly where she popped in. There was in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there was the her showing up talking to U.S. Agent. And then we had her a little bit in Wakanda Forever. But in all of those roles, we never really got a sense of what she was doing. Like the fans could kind of piece together that something was coming. And when they started announcing a Thunderbolts movie, we could figure all that out. But I just feel like they could have explored and maybe gone a little deeper into the character. Like I would have liked to have seen her developing something for that time period. Like let's have her tell people and show people like I'm, working on this serum. I'm working on this project. I have this special Onyx team that I'm working on. Like all that was dumped on us here in this film, and she was almost gone by the end. I mean, granted, she turned it around right at the last second to stick around a little bit longer, but I just felt like we didn't really get a full sense of her threat. She's very stereotypical and she's great. I mean, obviously Julia Dreyfus did a really good job in portraying the character, but I just think that like over the prolonged period of time that we've been learning about this character, we really haven't been learning about this character. And I think it could have been better done to maybe make this feel more weighted. This felt like a thing that would have been built to this, this super human Superman-like character. I just feel like there should have been more prep for that. And a lot of like hinting at like, I'm working on this special project. And so that was like one of the biggest things that really bothered me. And the last negative I will say has to do with Bucky. No, I'm sorry. I have two more. One with Bucky, with him being this congressman, right? They dropped at us on us and Captain America, Brave New World or whatever it was called. And then they didn't like lead up to it. It wasn't something that was really talked up. It was literally like a throwaway line. And then boom, here he is. And he's really not doing anything. And I think at some point someone in the movie was like, this is the shortest term you've ever in Congress, right? And so it's like, okay, so it really didn't have an effect. So it seems like a big thing, but at the end of the day, it was minor. And then the real last negative I'm going to talk about has to do with the fact that this is taking place in New York. Now, why is that a problem? Because I just watched Daredevil.
Everything is in New York.
And now I'm supposed to understand that the mayor of New York is supposed to be Fisk, and or even if it's not, it's all of New York, right? Like he's not just the mayor of Hell's Kitchen, he's the mayor of New York. Right. So like,
yeah,
I feel like he should have been in that room with all the senators and stuff, or in the party, something to show that interconnectedness with Daredevil. And if you're going to take such a big step of saying this person is the mayor of New York, and then you're going to take another big step and have this whole scene take place in New York, I feel like you should connect those dots when there's scenes. Like, and it doesn't even take much. Just have him show up at the party, drop a line to you, and leave, something like that. But that's like the extent of my negatives with this one.
It's definitely the continuity stuff where it's like they could try to spin it like, oh, well, technically Thunderbolts happened before Daredevil, and he hadn't been elected yet, blah blah blah. But it is, dude. It's hard when so much takes place in New York to not put it all together. That is the biggest struggle. Like right now, I'm already trying to just prepare myself for how much bullshit it's going to be next year in Spider-Man when none of it is referenced. That like
Absolutely.
Daredevil ended with New York is under curfew and there's no vigilantes and there's this task force going around like wiping people out, and then Spider-Man's just going to be like swinging, just doing his thing. And it's probably not going to reference shit, and it's going to really piss me off. So I can kind of understand Thunderbolts to an extent because it felt like everything happened within an hour.
It's so fast,
and it's so fast. It's fun to think about what Matt Murdock and Frank Castle were doing in their little void rooms while they were wiped out there for a minute. But yeah, that drives me crazy when it comes to New York for sure. For me, I don't have very many negatives, man. Like this is one that it's a win, right? It's a win when you can sit and say, I don't really have much. I agree with you on the Taskmaster part. I think that's my biggest gripe. Is almost not even that they killed her, but that it was done so fast and so abruptly in the first meeting of this team. I would have liked her to be a part of the crew and then maybe got wiped out later, right? Maybe during the fight with Sentry, he throws her just a little too hard against the wall and her neck snaps, like, and it's like, oh shit. Like, I didn't like the bullet in the head. It felt weird. It felt off, especially coming from Ghost, because I never got, especially with the way Ghost's arc ends at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp. She's kind of good by the end of that movie, and they help her out, and they give her the quantum realm cells so she's not phasing in and out all crazy. And it's like you think she's going down kind of a different path, and now she's just bloody assassin. And it's like, what? I mean, she kills it in this movie. I love Hannah John Kamen. She does such a great job with this role. But it just felt weird. It just felt weird. And then when you read about the journey this movie took, it was not the way this was in the original script. In the original script, she survived the movie. Like Taskmaster went through the entire movie. And that's probably why Olga Kurylenko, who plays it, was like, that's why I signed on, right? And then it's like, and I feel bad for her. I see like the press stuff, and I see the whole team like, yeah, we're the new Avengers, and she's sitting there like, yay. So happy for you guys. It does kind of suck. I agree with you. The design was so much cooler. I love the way the mask kind of opened up when she had her one line of dialogue. And it was just really cool, man. And they say that in the original script, she starts to really form a good friendship with Ghost, that she has a really funny dynamic with Walker, that she has memory issues, so like throughout the movie she keeps forgetting that they're a team, and then she starts fighting John Walker all the time. And he's like, what the fuck, we're a team, stop. And she's like, what? And they have to like calm her down and be like, we're a team, chill.
That would
and
have
then
been
she
good. That
forgets
would have
again.
been
Yeah, so there was a lot of cool stuff that was left. I guess during the that was when the writer's strike happened and they
good.
couldn't do
Oh,
anything. And so he's like, while we had time during the strike, we just kind of retooled it and kind of changed some things up. And they felt the need to really put stakes at the beginning of this movie and be like, look, anyone can die on this team, right? And they took her out. And I just didn't really like that. I didn't really need it. So that's probably my biggest negative at the end of the day, because the rest of the movie is so small and kind of contained. It's
yeah,
hard to really nitpick much else. I agree with you too on the Bucky thing. I feel like there was a bigger story at some point for this whole campaign and him going into politics, because it just feels like they dropped it and they were like, how do we get out of this real quick? And then they're like,
yeah,
throw him in Thunderbolts and we'll just get him out of it. um it was weird. It is a very weird kind of thing, because why the hell would a guy like him want to be involved in something like that? It just
at,
didn't
at
seem
the end
right
of,
from the beginning.
at the end of the day, he doesn't even need to be a congressman to do what he did in this movie. Like, he
No.
to her, he was trying to, not convict her, but like charge her,
Right.
pull her into the light from the dark, shadowy stuff that she's doing, and like, oh, he could have done that in an Avenger role or whatever, right? He didn't have to be a congressman to get
Yeah.
close, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if that was the end game, was just to be like, it's how he gets close to her, but like, it still seems weird,
Yeah,
and not really needed. So we'll shift gears there, over to what we love. Like, these are the things that stand out, that stick out. I think we'll probably just kind of free flow this thing as we kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
just, you
Let's do
know,
it.
think of items and stuff like that. Again, I got to start with the cast, right? Like,
Yeah,
again, we mentioned it before: Florence Pugh as Yelena, Sebastian Stan, Bucky Barnes, right? Julia Louis-Dreyfus, very good with what she's given to do in this movie. She's awesome. She plays it
yep,
out so well. Lewis Pullman, which I find hilarious that he was Bob in Top Gun Maverick and then Bob
yeah.
again in this.
Another
I mean,
Bob.
how many times could you play a Bob? I think it was I guess Lewis Pullman went to the director of Thunderbolts and was like, "Can we call him something else? Because I just played a Bob." And they were like, "No, that's his name. You got to be Bob." And he was like, "Oh, okay."
That's funny.
But Dick Harbour as Alexi, so great. Wyatt Russell, like I said, John Walker, man, a character that I could not stand on Falcon and Winter Soldier, ended up loving him in this movie. He was awesome. He won me over, man. We already spoke on Hannah John Kamen as Ava, obviously Ghost. Wendell Pierce in just a small little role there as the congressman. Just I
Oh
love
yes.
the quirkiness of it
I
all.
want him
Can't
in
wait to
so
see
much
him.
more. Keep
I
bringing
know
him in.
he's he's gonna be Perry, man, in Superman, so I'm looking forward
Heck
to that.
yeah. Super.
And you got Geraldine Viswanathan as Mel. She was really good as well too, and we're already hearing the rumors that she's Songbird and all this stuff. I'm not too familiar with that character. If you are, you can kind of elaborate on that. She had a little charm there, and they're kind of planting seeds. So, you know anything about Songbird here?
Yeah, Songbird was like an original Thunderbolt. There was a version of that, and then there's also like an X-Men from that goes by Songbird. So I am not 100% sure if they're actually connected in the same way or same character. So I'm not sure exactly. I think though, based on the medallion, I think that was leaning more towards the X-Men character. And I've also saw some stuff online. Granted, I don't know how true it is or what the sources are, but they're saying that that was the character that was intended.
Mm.
Songbird is known for having these really bright pink, like wings that kind of jet out and there's fly around or whatever. Typically, the character is seen with like pink or white hair, or pink and white hair. But obviously, they didn't go that route with her. So we'll see. I mean, who knows? There's a tendency for some of these guys to want to like pull in tidbits from like older storylines. We saw that a lot with James Gunn, but like I'm thinking of like just pulling the Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. Red Guardian, is another one. U.S. Agent. So I just think that it's hard to say exactly which direction it's going, but given the projected future of the X-Men being included in the MCU, I could see us seeing something to happen with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, very cool. But just overall, the cast is so strong. The acting is incredible. They make you feel, man. They make you feel in a lot of this movie, and that's the big thing there. I knew Florence Pugh can do it, but seeing everybody kind of have their moments is awesome. David Harbour, I want to shout him out to the extent of he has such a hard role, right? Because
Yeah.
he's the yuck kind of comedy aspect, but at the same time, he's such an awesome actor that he can have those moments like he does with Yelena, right? One of my favorite scenes in the movie is them on the street together when she runs
Yeah.
off and he's like, wait, and she's like, you didn't want me, and he's like, I wanted you, like I wanted to give you your space, and I just love how he could shift from such like a comedic standpoint to just to dad, and their moment there was just so incredible, man, because then Florence playing off him, and when she was like, daddy, I'm so alone, I was like, oh, like it just like hit me
Yeah.
so hard.
I bet.
That delivery of that line, and him realizing like I was just trying to give you your space, but then when you hear it, because she's like, I already lost my sister, like I didn't want to lose my dad too. And it's just so good, man. And their dynamic as father daughter is so good. And then for the jokey flip side of it, that first time he shows up when they're in the desert, and he's like, Yelena, and
So
she's
funny.
like, oh my god, and they're like, who is that? And she's like, I don't know, and then he's like, Yelena, it's your dad. Just so good. There's just so many moments like that in this movie that just hit right.
Yeah.
Obviously
Big time.
the climax, of being in the void and them all kind of coming together to fight, and Bob fighting himself, right, fighting the void version of himself, but then the void taking over him because it's such a dark thing, right? He's trying to kill him, and the black is creeping up on him, and then Yelena grabbing him and saying, I'm here for you, like I got you, and then everybody kind of hugging up. Is such a powerful moment that
It was.
is pretty unmatched in any of these fucking movies, to be honest. Like, it's such a moment right there of them all coming together, and these are people that hated each other at the beginning of the movie and then found that connection because they are all losers. They are all people that have been mishandled, miscast, misthrown to the wolves, and they find that bond. And that's really the standout for me, when it comes down to, these characters here, on top of the action, So, I'm going to throw out just those couple there and let you go, and then we'll kind of mix it up here as we're
Yeah.
kind of talking through the movie.
You're talking about the trauma aspect of it, and earlier I had mentioned about like, a compact story as opposed to the world ending story, and this kind of did that mix of almost having both. For the predominant focus of the film was, as you mentioned, these like throwaway characters, these people who are tossed to the side and to be shunned and forgotten about and hated. They're still living a life, and granted, yeah, most of them are assassins and murdering people, but like, they still have things that they want to accomplish. They still want to, be recognized for things that they do that are good. And so it was cool to see how everyone, like, I think it was a big push for Marvel to focus on everyone focusing on their own traumas and working through trauma, right? And how important, whether it be real family or whether it be found family, like having those connections. And I know the earlier joke about like burying the darkness down inside and ignoring it,
Push
but
it
then at
down.
the end,
Push it down.
yeah, push it way down. And then, but at the end, at the end, she acknowledges that like that's not the right way to deal with this.
Yeah.
And I just think, especially in this day and age where we have such an awareness to mental health issues and stuff like that, I think it was a really good message about how that darkness, that void in all of us can like overtake you and make you do things you don't want to do. But yet, through working on it, bringing it out, having friends, having support, having help, whatever that may be, really helps bring that out. And I thought that message was really strong, really needed, and to see our heroes, like, you know, our heroes fighting through those kinds of things and becoming better at the end, right? So they went from these individual solo, like, tortured individuals to being a team of Thunderbolts to being the next phase up, right? And now they're at the top. So, like, I just like seeing that, like, recovery through addressing the issues. That message was really good, and that is on top of the action that you already mentioned, right? And at the same time, if you want a world-ending scenario, like, he's wiping out New York. I don't know about you, man, but when Guardian saves the little girl, and he's like, "It's okay," and then just boom, I went, "Oh shit!" Like,
yeah.
that hit
Unexpected,
hard.
like a mother.
I thought that girl was dead, and then, you know, you see Elena walking towards it, and like, okay, so this is gonna be some like alternate world thing. So, like, you know, I have a lot of questions about that. Like, if you're in there so long, like, what happens? Like, do you ultimately die? And for the people that came back, like the guy in
crazy, man, lose your mind.
Yeah, and the guy in the helicopter, when he zapped out, he was up there. Like, does he reappear back up there? Does he reappear? Like, I don't know.
In the dust of the crashed helicopter, that's where he appeared.
It's on fire. Like, that's even worse. But, you know, I just think, you know,
saw somebody say about that when Yelena walked into it, that she could have been almost committing suicide, right? If you look at it that way, because she didn't know what was going to happen, right? She just walked into the darkness having no idea if that was going to lead to somewhere or what. And when I read it in a different context, I was like, holy shit. Like, it really makes you see it from a whole different perspective of, like, that's where she was at that time. And she was like, she just walked into it, and it's just like, woo, it's deep, man.
Dang. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, and you're right. Like, yeah, that's huge. I hadn't thought about it in that context. I think one of the standout scenes for me, though, was Bucky, right, riding in on the motorcycle,
Terminator style, baby.
Yelena shoots the gun, and then the car goes flying, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And then, like, and then you see Bucky, dude. I'm not kidding. Like, I know it's common to tear up during the sad moments and the happy, like, you know, and the crying moments. But I literally teared up when Bucky came in doing the Terminator call. Like, it made me so happy. And then when he gets the chain, like, wraps around the arm and just like, oh, so badass. And it just reminded me of why I think like Winter Soldier was like one of my favorite characters of the MCU so far. And he just like emphasized why that is again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. What a great introduction into that scene. That scene is one of the highlights of the film, just from the dialogue in the limo, you know, of them still kind of getting to know each other. It's the first time they're all meeting Red Guardian, you know, don't drink out of the Slurpee cup, you know. And
that's right.
You know, and then, you know, the Jeeps show up, and it's like, and the limo doesn't go over 55 miles an hour, and you know, they're getting shot at. And I love that whole entire sequence, because you have him throwing the Molotov cocktail, and it looks like it's awesome, and then the fire immediately goes out, and he's like, oh shit, you know. And then Ghost tries to do her thing, but then they play that siren, and then she can't phase, and, you know, and then Bucky rolls in, like you said, Terminator style, taking the shotgun, cocking it, you know, like with the one arm, like Arnold style, you know, shooting out the tires, and then the wraparound, boom. And I love it, because then they're all like, yeah, he just saved the day, and then he shoots their limo, flips it over, you know. Great scene, man. Yeah, Bucky was so awesome in this movie as they get going. I love the dynamic of him and Red Guardian. You know, I love the whole, like, you know, what secret secret soldier serum do you have? You know, I don't know, Hydra. Ooh, Hydra, the good stuff. The good stuff. Yeah, I just have regular Soviet Union. You know, it's still pretty good.
Funny.
You know, and it's kind of interesting to think about 3 super soldiers kind of on this team together. You know, like with Walker. You know, I love too when they were in the shaft, and he's like, "I'll get out of here," and he jumps, and then he just goes flying back down and hits the thing, because it's so high up.
It's funny, because I thought about them addressing that when it was going on. I'm like, wait, he's like super strong. Like, can't he just like get up there? And I was like, oh shit, that place must be really high. So that was a good touch. I also like that they, you know, in a day and an age where they want to spoil everything immediately, you know, you got to see every cameo that's going to show up in a movie like right away. Like, I think that it was awesome that they didn't really spoil the Sentry Void thing.
Right.
In the trailers, you never really saw the bad guy. You saw him in shadow, not knowing that
Right.
he was
Right.
actually a shadow. But
Yeah.
and I think it was really cool for those that didn't know what was coming with that character.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just think that I want to give them kudos for having the patience to hold back on throwing that reveal out.
Yeah. They didn't have patience to reveal the new Avengers title, which they did
No.
3 days later. But they did, but they did have the patience to hold back on Bob and who Bob was. And I love the running gag of that because even in the post-credit scene, it was the new Avengers and Bob will return in Doomsday.
That
You
was
know,
funny.
so I love that Bob is continuing his journey. I speaking of let's talk Sentry for a minute because number one, the fight scene with Sentry was cool as fuck. Like
Yeah.
all of them, it reminded me of all of Injustice League when they're all going at Superman, you know, and he's fighting them
Yes.
all off kind of one
Yes.
handed, right? And it was that exact scene, and just seeing everybody kind of doing their best and just getting tossed. And when he threw Red Guardian out the window and then sucked him back in and threw him against the wall,
Dude.
and you know, and then up to Bucky. Bucky takes the jacket off and just starts decking him like crazy, rips the fucking arm off. You know, like it just whoops all their asses to where they get up and just run into the elevator scared.
I'm
They're like,
out.
"Get me the
Yeah.
hell out of here!"
Yeah.
You know, and it's crazy. And I love like the marketing of him too, right? Of like, oh, we dyed his hair yellow because it's what the people would want, right? Because he looks like a good guy, you know. He's the vision of the sun, you know, and all this stuff.
Yep.
And I love the marketing aspect of it, you know. And then even I love that they didn't hinder on Valentina controlling him.
Yeah.
That it only took her to kind of order him kind of one time, and then him to be like, "Why would I take orders from you? You just said I'm a
Yes.
god, you know." And she's like, "Oh, you throwing this god word around." She's like, "Well, you said I'm bigger than all the Avengers, and I'm pretty sure they have a god on their team. So you
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
why would I listen to you?" And I was like, "Hell yeah," because it's like it's so spot on, man. Sometimes when they have these super characters in these movies and then they listen to like the, you know, the Lex Luthor, or like there's the basic general guy giving the orders, it's like, why would somebody with all this power listen to them, you know? um so
Absolutely.
I really dug that a lot. I liked the arc. The Void character was scary, it was cool, you know, putting you against all of your fears like that and just making you relive that over and over and over, like Elena
Oh yeah.
having to witness
Terrifying.
that assassination all the time over and over, and it's her most you know, regrettable time. And then
Hold on,
even
let's
Bob.
talk about his eyes though. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if
His
Peeps was
glowing
here,
eyes.
Peeps would be like talking about them eyes. Like, those eyes were so dope.
Yeah, the design was cool as hell. I mean, definitely just complete darkness. And I love just the visual of just the and just the shadowy flatness of just
Yes.
everybody, right? Which the director had said that like he used the marks from like Hiroshima, like
Uh,
in for the inspiration there, because that's what in Hiroshima from the bomb, the atomic bomb, you just see shadows of people in the sidewalk and stuff like
yeah.
that. And so that was the purpose there, and it works, man. From a visual
Dude,
aesthetic, it was
it's
just
terrifying.
so damn cool, man.
Yeah.
um yeah, so there's not a ton of action really in this movie when you break it down, and you would think that this movie would be jam-packed with it, but it's the pacing, man. Again, this movie's right at 2 hours, and the pacing's so spot on. It's just like you set up, you're there, you end. And it just boom, 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 hits everything on its mark like so well. And it's just you know, this director, Jake Schreier, who did it, never heard of him before, don't really know much of what he's done. Um, but he killed it. Like he did such an
Yeah.
amazing job here. And then the news broke today that he's in negotiations to do the X-Men movie for the MCU. So they're obviously very happy with him. So what'd you think of the direction on this and everything for this guy here?
Yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see why they've been thinking of him for X-Men, because we're talking about a team of different individuals with different abilities and different personalities, mixing them together, becoming this like cohesive unit, having that
Yeah.
like bond, right? Like developing a bond. Like that's what I want to see in an X-Men movie. I want to see that development of the found family or whatnot. So I think that's a perfect way to blend them and mix them in. I also think he did a really good job in the action and giving us highlights of each character. Each character got a really cool moment or two or three. And like you said, when they're fighting the big bad, you know, there was like this really cool team aspect where they're kind of fighting together, or the cool movie thing where it shows like one and then one gets tossed off the side and here comes the next.
One
And then
comes in. Yeah.
so you kind of get to have a shining moment with each of those characters. And so I thought that was really well done. Um, there was a lot of laughs. The one complaint, it's not even a complaint, but like the only thing I hope is that, maybe he tones down as much comedy. I don't know that I needed to laugh that much to it. But I think he did really
And movie that
well.
dark, man, we needed the laughs to go
I
with
was
it for
just gonna
sure.
say, yeah, he did really well in balancing that those different emotions that you're going through. So, yeah, I thought as the director coming in for this, not knowing much about him, I think he really like won me over,
Yeah.
and absolutely willing to see whatever else he can get involved in.
Yeah.
Yeah, just really really well done.
X-Men, man. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the MCU finally really diving in to the X-Men, to have a movie up and running, and then to know that this guy did this great of a job, that they're looking to him to do it. And I've seen some interviews with them where he's like, I'd love to continue in this universe if they'll have me. So I know he's down for it. And like you said, he kind of, this is almost like his audition tape for X-Men. He
Yeah.
did the team thing, did it well, and let's take it up another notch.
Well, and
Um,
the other thing too is like he showed, man, I like literally had my thought and it just left. Like, what was I gonna say?
the
Um,
void.
yeah, something about the void. Shit. Go ahead. Maybe it'll come back to me. It's just
um,
like as I started talking, it just went poop.
yeah. I really, I think back to the relationship again with Alexei and Yelena, and one of the things I really like too is when she first goes to see him, and she's like, "Are you fulfilled?" And so full, so filled.
So filled.
That she says, "But when were you really fulfilled?" And he said, "When I was serving my country. Like when I was the hero. And you see how that went to her, right? Like how that played off to her, to where she immediately called Valentina to be like, I will do this last job, but the next job, I want something forward facing. I want
Yeah.
I want the respect. I want people to know that I'm out here doing good. Because yeah, she's just this behind the scenes person that's gets no love, gets no respect, and she fights her heart out, and that's what I loved about the reveal at the end, and then also the very quippy of her in Valentina's ear saying, "We own you now," to her, which was such an awesome moment there, right? Because it was like they have her in their pockets. It's like, you want to screw us over, we'll screw you over. So we own you now. And I love it because she could play hardcore. She can, and I love to how she took care of Bob in the beginning, like,
Yes.
stay behind me, Bob, and then even like tied him up behind her and she's
Yeah.
fighting, and keeping him safe. And I love that aspect of her, man. Like, she's so, there's so many facets of her character that just works so well from so many levels. And I love that, Bob was put in the wrong place at the wrong time, and pretty much everybody else on the team was like, fuck this guy, let's just kill him, get him out of here, we don't
Yep.
care. And she's like, no, Bob, like, I'm here for you, and that she wanted to go save him at the Avengers Tower and all that stuff, which was also another big reveal, to finally find out who bought Avengers Tower, and we know
Yeah.
that it was Valentina, and that was her new watchtower, as she called it. So very
That
cool there.
actually
So
comes from a comic with the Century. There's a whole storyline where that tower used to be the watchtower before it ever even became the Avengers Tower, or Stark Tower, or whatever. So it's a whole comic thing. I'm not going to go into the lore of it, but but it actually came from that. So that was kind of cool to see, them pulling some lore from the comics.
Yeah. So what else, man? What else stood out for you that were really big moments for you that kind of got you thinking?
I didn't I haven't talked much about Yelena yet, and I just wanted to note, I really liked the jump she did from the big,
Oh
huge,
yeah,
tall tower. Like, and I
she
loved, like,
really did, which is
yeah,
awesome.
I saw that, like, behind the scenes thing where
Yeah,
she really did jump off that with the wires and all that. Like, how cool of an experience. And to echo off what you said, like, she definitely comes across as, like, just like a cool leader, because she's got something that a lot of people don't have, and she can just command a screen presence, right? And, like, when she's up there, you're paying attention. You want to hear what she has to say, and it comes off as an audience person watching the film, but also as her character. Like, you can see why the other characters would, want to follow and listen to her. She just has that awesome ability to command that presence, and so you got to give her a lot of credit.
100%.
This is a silly thing to bring up, but, like, it's very important, and I think it can make or break a lot. I think the costume design was really good. Like, everyone's look was awesome. I like what they did from every detail of, like, Elena, like, talking about, like, the slick back, shorter blonde hair cut was super cool. The slightly green eyelashes
Yeah.
to match the green on the suit. I think everyone had, like, to me, like, a costume is important and can make or break stuff. I think when we're watching superhero movies, you don't want to see a movie where someone doesn't have a costume and they only get it in the very last, like, 2 seconds of the film before the movie goes off, right? So it's cool to see everybody get to rock their suits through almost the whole thing.
Yeah, I loved
That was
Ghost.
really,
I loved Ghost's outfit too. Like her new
it was
mask was
cool.
awesome. I
Yeah.
love the way that they utilized her outfit.
But yeah, man, and as I mentioned earlier, Sentry is a character that I'm not super fond of. And again, Pullman, his acting, his screen presence, like, really helped sell the character. And even though he's so complex and he might not be the total likable person that you want to root for, he has that likable component, and so then that makes it easier to buy into what's going on. It does make me wonder, this dude is super powerful. Like, if he ever decides to go bad, like, what's
Mhm.
who's gonna stop this dude? I mean, he was stopping bullets in midair. They weren't even really, like, stab wounds weren't necessarily deflecting off him. It was more of like a force field kind of vibe, like they were going short. And I wonder if the punches were doing the same as he's, like, kind of blocking them off. But, like, it makes me wonder, like, not only the good guys if he ever goes bad again, but, like, what bad guy is gonna stand up to his power? Like, we now have the most powerful character in the MCU.
Yeah. No doubt. And that's why that was something else I was going to bring up, was that you could tell now that in the post-credit scene, with him kind of being there but not being Sentry, he makes a comment about, like, hey, can't be Sentry without the other guy coming out, like, kind of thing. And I like that it seems like they're gonna play him kind of like the Hulk, right? Like
Yeah,
he's gonna be there, and it's gonna be like, shouldn't do it, but when the time is gonna be right, he's gonna bust the shit out, and he's
go
gonna help
out. Yeah,
wreck shop, right? Which is kind of the way they play Captain Marvel as well too, right? It's these overpowered superheroes that can't just like you said, who the hell's gonna beat them, right? So
right.
at the end of the day,
Exactly.
like he can't just be on the team full power all the time, because then who the hell needs anybody else?
Yep.
But you play it kind of like a Hulk, where it's like, hey, I really shouldn't because you don't know what's gonna happen. um I I That's why I had a feeling they were going to go that route with him, if they were going to continue with him into anything else, down the road.
Right.
Um, I would hope that they've kind of eliminated the void. It's interesting that they're still kind of playing like he could come back. Because obviously I expect him to be Sentry and Doomsday. But yeah, it's like, like I call it the Captain Marvel thing, where it's just like, like with her, that's why she's only at the end of Avengers. Oh my god, why am I blanking? Endgame. Like she only comes in at the very end, because if she was there the whole time, then what? Like why do we
Yeah,
need anybody else? And that's
exactly.
why she's constantly off Earth doing all these other things, because she's just so overpowered. And that's why they're gonna have to play Century kind of Hulk style here. So I do find that interesting, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me hope for the team. I think I want to see more of the Thunderbolts after seeing this now. Going into this and hearing that they got casted for Doomsday, I kind of was just like, all right, whatever. But I
Right.
like, but now I'm like, sweet, we're going to see more of the Thunderbolts. Like, I think it really helps solidify these characters who have been in the movies, but maybe not been in the spotlight of the movies because of their roles. It was just fine, but like now they got to be in the spotlight, and now it makes us just like really appreciate them a little bit more, and looking forward to seeing what they do next. So yeah, it
Yeah, I
definitely
agree, man. It's a big change of my thought logic from the day that we watched, 27 chairs get announced of who's going
yeah
to be in Doomsday, and when their names came up, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like they survive Thunderbolts, but why are they in this movie? Like it didn't even really make sense. And then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, okay, now I understand why they're in the movie. It
yes
totally makes sense, which leads to new Avengers, right? So let's talk about it. So this is a moment here, right? So we talked about the end of the movie. They beat the Void. They've taken him out, and now it's time to take out Valentina. It's time to put her away and make her pay for all these things, right? And as they go to get her, they walk out to a press conference, and she immediately says, you want to see who saved New York? I've been working behind the scenes to put together the new Avengers. And she introduces them as the new Avengers. And the world is now like, what? Shocked. And some people love it, some people hate it. The actual credits of the movie is a lot of newspaper clippings, articles saying B Avengers, like, do we need them? That's not my Avengers,
yeah
things like that are, kind of going back and forth. And it really sets up an idea that's just like, oh shit, it's revealed that is what the whole italics that was on Thunderbolts the whole time as a placeholder, right? Which we didn't even touch on. That Thunderbolts this whole time I thought was going to have something to do with Thaddeus Ross
oh
and
right
and
yeah
putting this team together, and it was about a damn soccer team, pee-wee soccer team that Elena was on as a kid. So that was pretty
too
funny,
funny
right
yeah
there. So I like the twist. They didn't even have that scene in the movie that's in the trailer when David Harbour says, "We are the Thunderbolts," and Bucky goes, "We can't call ourselves that." That never
yeah
happened in the movie at all.
sure
I think he says like, "That's a dumb name" or something like that.
something like
Like
that yeah
yeah, he doesn't say like, "You can't call ourselves that," which always led you to believe like, why can't they call ourselves that? Is it because of the government thing? Is it because of Harrison Ford? Like, what's going on over here? So yes, so they're introduced as the new Avengers, and that will lead into, we'll talk a little more about the post-credit scene here in a minute. But then, Marvel, we talked about the things they were good at hiding from a marketing standpoint, and the things they weren't, because right there below, by Monday morning, all the posters, all the marketing, everything for this movie changed to New Avengers. There was even videos of the entire cast being recorded with a giant poster, and Florence Pugh rips off the Thunderbolts part, and it says New Avengers and all stuff. And now it's like, okay, shit. So what is this movie called? Is it New Avengers? Is it Thunderbolts? According to Disney, the movie is called Thunderbolts. It will remain Thunderbolts, and that the New Avengers aspect of it is just revealing what the asterisk was, and it's a marketing thing. So I kind of get it from a marketing standpoint. You want the movie to appeal to a wider audience, and maybe people that didn't want to see it as Thunderbolts, but then see the Avengers name and now think, I should go see this, right? It's an Avengers
yeah
movie. It's something important in the MCU. Maybe I should go check it out. So what was your thoughts as this was revealed at the end of the movie that they were the new Avengers?
Honestly, I kind of thought it was a little silly. The everything about it was great. I actually love that it's called Thunderbolts now. It made me like that name even more, like tying it in. Like it is different than in the comic because it is typically named after Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. But like I liked the soccer tie-in. You know, it was that
Yeah, it
to
was
me
good.
was like a nice change. Like sometimes they change things and you're like, why did you change that? Why didn't you just stick with what was there? I think this one like helped create and generate like a nice connection with Yelena and the team as a whole, kind of like an in joke or whatever. I don't know. I was afraid that when this came out, that they were going to wipe the Thunderbolts and it was going to be everywhere on the New Avengers. Like I even looked up the movie showing for like the next week just to see if it still said Thunderbolts or the New Avengers. So yeah, I mean it's fun, and the fact that they didn't change it, I think that's what makes it fun. So I'm as long as they leave it as Thunderbolts, then I'm okay with everything they did.
Right.
I'm not gonna call it the New Avengers. I will, even if they officially change it, I'm still gonna call it Thunderbolts.
Oh, we had another live die repeat on our hands over here. You know,
Yes, exactly. Which
Edge of
was a,
Tomorrow.
and all we need is kill. That one had like
All we
3
need is
names.
yeah.
How
I just
about
think
you?
though,
What you
man,
think?
if I still bought physical media, this is the perfect movie though to have the
Yeah,
Thunderbolts Blu-ray, and then you pull the disc out and it says New Avengers. When you actually pull it out the sleeve, it'd be
that
pretty
would be
tight.
cool.
Cool little
That would
marketing
be
thing.
cool.
I do like it. It's fun. You know, we've all been asking ourselves for the last couple of years, who the hell are even the Avengers at this point? You know, what do we have? Who the hell's left? You know, back on Brave New World, you know, we do have the scene where President Ross is telling, you know, Sam Wilson, I want you to restart the Avengers. I want you to put the team back together. And he's tasked with that, you know, but it doesn't really
Yeah,
go very far in that movie. So, you know, for the last several years, like I said, we've been saying, who the hell's even on the team at this point? Like, who are the Avengers? And this movie dived into that, you know, with her saying at the very beginning, the Avengers are not coming. They're not walking through that door. We don't have Avengers. We don't have, you know, that's why she felt she had to create Sentry. She had to make her own mightiest hero. And it was a very smart pivot to take this team and now and then be like, hey, here they are, the new Avengers, right? Like so people have
yeah,
that peace of mind that their heroes are there, you know. So very, very cool. So let's go into the mid and post credit scenes. Obviously the mid credits is there for the laughs, it's for the chucks, right? You have
yeah.
the Wheaties box right there, and with the new Avengers on the Wheaties box, and it's got Alexi, you know, talking to the lady like, this is the cereal you want, eh? You know, like, you
Yeah.
know, that's me on the box, you know, and she's like, yeah, whatever, and just kind of sits it down and walks off. So it's a fun little scene. But we're here for the big post credit scene, 3 minutes long, directed by the Russo brothers on the set of Doomsday. This could actually be a scene from Doomsday, by the way,
I kind of
that
hope
was
it is.
taken. Yeah, I know exactly. After watching it, I'm kind of like, that makes sense. And they've done that before. You know, the Captain Marvel scene was from Endgame. So you know,
It was a Civil
they
War scene, I remember, like way back in the day.
yeah, so we jump 14 months later, and our new Avengers are avenging now, and they got all their new costumes, which were fire, dude. Bucky's costume was off the hook, dude, in
Yeah.
this post-credit scene, dude. I love the big red star on his shoulder, and then he looked awesome, man. And everybody had the new Avengers A's on their suits, and it was cool. It was really cool. The thing though that did piss me off in this post-credit scene, Walker's shield was still bent like a taco.
I hated that.
Are you
Yes.
telling me 14 months later nobody bent his shield back for
Or get a different shield. Like I mean, come on, man.
like
That
is he seriously utilizing it?
he better not. Like he's got to have a different shield. That was the dumbest thing. Yeah, absolutely agree. That made me
He
so
even
mad.
mentions at the end of the movie that he's gonna have Bob bend it back, you know,
Yeah.
and then it's still bent 14 months later.
Yeah, that's got to be recut.
I hope. But yeah, I mean, it starts off as a funny kind of scene. They're back at the Avengers Tower. They're regrouping. They're talking about things. Alexei shows up with his tracksuit, basically saying, "Hey, I found the way around this issue. Right, we're going to be the Avengers with a Z, and then we'll copyright that." But they talk about Sam Wilson basically not being happy with this. Bucky says, he won't even talk to me. This conversation didn't go well when we talked. Because Sam is building his own team, man. He's doing his own Avengers thing, and now he's got to go copyright it because this other team is over here. I did find it a little weird in the scene that knowing Sam and Bucky's relationship, that they wouldn't find a way to make it work, that they would kind of have a beef over it. But it's a fun scene again, nonetheless, where they set the tone, right? That we know when we go into Doomsday, we're going to have two different Avengers teams out there doing their things, and at one point they're going to clash. They're going to show up together, and that's going to be fun. That's going to be really fun to see these two teams show up for the first time head to head and be against each other. So looking very forward to that. But like I said, Alexei's got this weird tracksuit with all these sponsors on it, and and the Avengers with a Z, and but then you get the message, that an interdimensional ship is coming, and it has come through the atmosphere. They pull it up on the big screen, and you see a ship coming, and as it zooms in and it starts to turn, you see the Four on it, and we see it's the Fantastic Four ship, obviously from the Fantastic Four movie coming out in just a couple months. So big reveal there. Obviously, we know from the cast listing of Doomsday that the Fantastic Four are in this movie, so no shocker there. I know some people were kind of pissed, being like, "Oh, it's a spoiler for Fantastic Four."
Honestly, I thought it was. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Come on,
I hated this after credit scene.
No.
Like, I was so happy that it was the long one. They were finally giving us something beefy. There was a lot of dialogue happening, so I was happy with this. And then they throw out the ship. Like, as soon as I saw the ship, even without the Four, they had showed the trailer right before this movie started.
Yeah. So I knew right away that was their ship. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, dude, like, that spoiled so much. Like, okay, look, if we're being real,
how could that really spoil? Be honest with me, man. How can that spoil it for you? Knowing that the cast has already been announced for Doomsday, they're in it. Like, they got to get to our universe at some fucking point. They obviously don't. Their movie doesn't take place in their universe, and Galactus is coming. Like, come on, man. This is like so obvious to me.
Like, yeah, we know they're coming. That's why I said, let's be real. We know at the end of the day, like, the end result is they're going to be in Doomsday. But, like, I want to be surprised at what happens in the film as I'm watching it. Like, right now, I'm guessing their world gets destroyed, but I don't really know yet. I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but I still don't really know. And, like, the fact that they show that they're in this main universe now, like, it just confirmed. It tells us already, like, okay, yeah, Galactus for sure is destroying this place. They are for sure running away or coming here or whatever it is that's happening. And I don't like that they took some questionable suspense of what's going to happen out of the picture, and they've already answered it for us.
I mean, fair enough, but yeah, I mean, I'm just like, from day one when I heard Galactus was the villain in their movie, I was like, okay, he destroys that fucking Earth at the end of the movie. Reed figures out a way to jump multiverses, and that's how they end up in the 616. Like we got to get them in this universe, and we know they're in Doomsday. It just made sense, and seeing the ship coming is just gave me the feel of like, yes, it's what I'm thinking, right? And it could end up being a different way in the movie for sure. Like, they could give us a twist. They could end up skipping just because they're trying to get away from Galactus, and maybe they do save the Earth, but Galactus is like, I'm gonna hunt you down, and they jump multiverses just to dodge him, right? Like, they're hiding out from him, right? Because the Silver Surfer's, doing whatever. Plus she's pregnant, so they got to go have the baby, so they got to get out of there.
Yeah, or maybe they're coming to stop some. I didn't think about that. So if they stopped Galactus from eating their own world, and Galactus is like, all right, I'm gonna go eat this other world then, and they're like, well, now we have to go follow him and stop him, right? Like, so maybe
Right.
there's something like that. I could see that, but
There you go.
I don't know. Something about it just really bothered me, and I felt more frustrated and upset that it was just kind of officially confirming the Fantastic Four in our world and not letting me like see that play out without it being spoiled officially.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So overall, though, the post-credit scene, where was your head at with this scene as a whole, minus maybe feeling a little spoiled by Fantastic Four?
Honestly, that Fantastic Four reveal was so overpowering. I think I even put it in our chat where I was like, "This is the worst after credit scene. I'm so pissed. I hate this." But like the interactions leading up to that, it was positive. They're funny, good comments. It did still feel like a waste, like in the sense that like nothing really came out of it. But like we did learn that the new Avengers is being, and that Captain doesn't like that they're using that. He's trying to keep the Avengers. So it gave me something. So that up leading to that point was fine. Like I was like, okay, fine. But if I had waited to the very, very end and I got the Wheaties one, I would have been pissed again. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
So at least that one came first.
And Bob's over there pretending to read a book, and but he
funny.
did do the dishes, so don't worry.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It's good stuff, man. But yeah, everybody's got new suits. They look cool as hell. I'm excited. And I'm excited to see who Sam puts together, right? I'm kind of in my mind right now. I have built that Sam's got his Falcon, right? Because he already told Falcon at the end of that movie that he's going to be an Avenger. I feel like Shang-Chi is going to be on his team.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have Ant-Man like
for
with
sure.
him.
Yeah.
And probably Black Panther, he'll have Shuri maybe with him. There's probably your core five, I think, right out the gate.
Yeah, I was wondering if
maybe
they're gonna.
I don't know, because they haven't really fully announced if Mark Ruffalo's back, so I don't know. I kind of want to throw Hulk there, but then he's kind of at a point too where he's not really doing much avenging at this point. So
Thor's back.
maybe
Thor's probably in there.
Oh yeah, Thor. Yeah, but I don't know if Thor will be right out the gate either because he's not on Earth. So I'm kind of just basing it on a team he can throw together on Earth, and then when Thor comes back for the greater purpose, right, of what's going on, then yes, then obviously Thor, and then they'll all combine, they'll all be Avengers. It'll be all good. So
yeah. And we'll probably get a Young Avengers too, and it'll be all the Avengers.
Yep. Civil War 2, baby. Let's go, Avengers. All the Avengers fighting.
Yeah.
All right, so final thoughts and scores here. So Frigginz, wrap it up, man. Like, what's your final thought here on Thunderbolts?
I know we talked about there being some rewrites along the way through 2020, but this finally feels like a movie that was thought out and worked through as a full script. And there's a difference from having like one creator kind of have a script and say, this is what I want, and there's a difference between having a million rewrites and cuts and redoing everything, right? And to make a story that's nothing even close to what was originally put out there. I feel like this shows you what a full thought out story can be. And it brought that back to Marvel, where we're getting away from a lot of chops and cuts and stuff like that. So I really, really like that. I am happy with this movie. I had a blast with it. I can't wait to watch it again. This is one I think you can watch multiple times. You can pick up on different things or just revisit those moments you loved. It makes me excited for the next things of Marvel. It makes, I got all those old feelings that had been missing for so long. And so it just makes me really, really excited. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is if you can come out of a movie wanting to watch it again, wanting to see what happens next, and enjoying the world that we're living in again, I think that is a win. And that's where I'm sitting. I mean, I'm feeling good. I had struggled a bit on my rating. Like I was like, how do I rate this? And like comparing it to other things, but I can't get away from the fact that I left that theater like fully satisfied with the watching experience.
So what do you give it?
Well, I have it as a 5. I mean, I just, it's like I can't see any reason to not give it that. And, I'm trying to compare it to a lot of the other films and looking at my rankings on like where I put it. And it kind of makes sense. And even though it's like these different characters and this different kind of vibe and this different setting, like it all makes sense. So I give it a 5.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, final thoughts here. Just an amazing movie from start to finish. The pacing is excellent. The heart is there. The action is there. It's a different type of Marvel movie, but it hits on all cylinders. The entire team is excellent. There's no weak links in this movie. It holds together so strongly. I've seen it twice. I'm gonna go see it a third time this weekend. And it's been a minute, man. It's been a minute since I wanted to go back to the theater, revisit a movie several times, and experience that again. And Thunderbolts brought that back. And I love it. So for me, 5 stars as well. It's the first 5-star I've given in 2025. So congratulations to Thunderbolts. I love it, man. It was so damn good, and definitely really appreciate this film. So before we get into the big updated MCU countdown that I'm so excited to get
Huge.
because we have some big reveals here, I do want to take a second for the quick thoughts here on Captain America Brave New World, because this is the last Marvel movie that we had that before, obviously, Thunderbolts. We did not get to do a review of it, so we're not going to really review it right now. I just want to give quick thoughts on just kind of where you were at with this one. What did you, what kind of score did you give it? Quickly, what did you like, not like, going into the first solo movie of Sam Wilson taking on the Shield here?
You know, it was the most anticipated Marvel movie. Well, no, that's not true. I guess Fantastic Four is probably. I was anticipating this one more than Thunderbolts, and I feel like I didn't walk out of the theater with the same kind of feeling. I felt it was missing something. It definitely suffered from what I was just talking about, of where it felt like a bunch of movies thrown together. I felt like the original thought process was not fully developed. And I think it also suffered from just like some poor decision making with some character designs. I did like the overall scheme, like of the plot, and the villain and what the ultimate goal was. Like all those things kind of like matched up. I just think that the execution was felt kind of juvenile, and it just felt like unfulfilled and not fun, not filled. Just kidding. No, it had fun moments, and don't get me wrong. Like, I really appreciate Anthony Mackie even more. I think he really solidifies himself as Captain America in his own different way. He's not Steve Rogers, as he says in the movie. Red Hulk
Should
was
have taken
something.
the serum.
Yeah. And Red Hulk was something I never thought I would see in a film. And yet, we got to experience that, and that was such a cool feeling to see this character that I never thought would be on a movie. But yeah, I mean, overall, I give it a 4. I've seen a lot of people rank this one a little bit lower, and there was definitely some problems that I did not like, and I even contemplated going a little bit lower, but I still have fun with it. It had really cool action and all those other things I mentioned. So yeah, I stood at about 4. How about you?
Okay. I pretty much agree with you. I gave it a 4 as well. It's not anywhere near top tier Marvel, but it's got a lot going for it. Like you said, like I think Anthony Mackie steps up in this movie big time. I felt such a difference in him in this movie, that of him really taking on this role, taking on this character from a very serious standpoint. It was an honor for him to be Captain America, and he dove into it. And
Yeah.
I loved him in this movie. I thought he was incredible. The action sequences are great. This movie gave us adamantium, so it brought us into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that we now have the metal that is stronger than vibranium. And we got to see everybody fight over that. We got to see Harrison Ford join a comic book movie that I thought he was going to probably sleepwalk through, and I actually thought he did a really good job in this movie. I thought he really gave it his all and sunk his teeth into something as silly as this. Red Hulk was cool as hell. Gave me vibes of the original Hulk, like with him doing the clap and with him being so aggressive. That's old school Hulk right there, and we haven't seen that in a long time. So that was really cool. But this movie is plagued by a lot of I want to do this, but maybe we don't do this, and maybe we try this, or we don't try that. And we know that the movie was supposed to come out a year before. It went through a bunch of rewrites. There was so much different things that were in it. The Serpent Society, this and that they took out, and then they did more stuff, and then they shoved in Giancarlo Esposito kind of out of nowhere, and you could tell his scenes were just kind of plopped in there. He doesn't really
Mhm.
jive with the rest of the movie. Like, you
Yep.
feel the reshoots, you feel the kind of additions there, and it bogs the movie down. But the end sequence with the battle over the Celestial in the ocean, which I'm so glad that was addressed again,
Finally addressed. Yeah.
was some great action scenes, man. There was some great stuff from aerial combat, and I liked the way they did the suit, and I liked there's a lot to like about it, and but overall it's just kind of it's just a good action movie. It's not a great Marvel movie, but it's a pretty good action movie, so I landed at a 4 as well. So but yeah, I just want to touch on that since we didn't get a chance to fully do that review back in February when it came out. So now, before we wrap up, the updated MCU countdown. This is something that we like to do every single time we review a new Marvel movie. Is rank them. How do they stack out? And this is always interesting to see where the new movies plop. And we got 2 new entries since we did not do Captain America Brave New World. Where did that one land, and where did Thunderbolts land? So for the most part, we'll see how it all kind of flows out. Again, lists like these are very subjective. Okay, so as much as we play around and, oh, you're wrong, I'm wrong, this and that, nobody's list is going to be exact. I think if we
Nope.
lined up 100 people right now and said put this list together, nobody would have the exact same list. So it's always fun to get into. Again, very subjective. So let's see where it lands. Frigginz, I will give you the honors. Go ahead and start. 36 films. How do you rank them down?
Well, we love all these Marvel movies except for these bottom 3. No, I'm just kidding. My number 36 is Iron Man 2. Then Iron Man, man, my vision is going out. Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Eternals, Thor the Dark World, Incredible Hulk, Ant-Man Quantumania, Captain Marvel, Thor Love and Thunder, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Super Spider-Man Far From Home, The Marvels, Black Widow. Now, Black Widow could shift. I think I need to rewatch that. But right now I have Black Widow at
Yeah.
25.
I just was talking about that the other day. I want to rewatch Black Widow now.
Yeah, I think I'll have a different appreciation for it, especially now. But there's so many good ones. So 25 is Black Widow. Then at number 24, we have one of the new movies. That would be Captain America: The Brave New World. So that's at 24. Number 23 is Avengers: Age of Ultron. Then Doctor Strange, Thor, Wakanda Forever, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man, and coming in at number 16, as of right now, is where I'm putting Thunderbolts. So I have that one at 16. And this is where it gets hard. I mean, like, you're gonna have to be stellar to break the top 10. And I think it's turning into, like, you're gonna have to be top notch to break the top 15, because I mean everything in here is great. So my 15 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 14 Spider-Man No Way Home, then Thor Ragnarok, then Black Panther, then Captain America. I actually might switch those two. Then Shang-Chi at 10, Avengers, the original, number 8, Civil War, 7, Iron Man, 6, Spider-Man Homecoming, 5, Deadpool and Wolverine, 4, Avengers Infinity War, 3, Avengers Endgame, 2, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and number 1 is still Guardians of the Galaxy for me.
Yeah. All right. So again, repeat where your 2 new entries are. Where's Brave New World and where's Thunderbolts?
So Brave New World came in at number 24, and Thunderbolts came in at number 16.
All righty. So that's where they slide on in. Again, this is the 36 theatrical movies. We are not counting the Disney Plus shows.
Right.
Okay. So for me, number 36, Captain America, the First Avenger. Number
So
35. Number 35. Again, I'm going to preference. I like all these movies. I like all these movies.
we got to give each other crap, though.
Yes. But, that one's not that good. But number 35, Iron Man 3. Number 34, The Incredible Hulk. Number 33, Black Widow. 32, The Eternals. Number 31, Thor: The Dark World. Number 30 is Ant-Man Quantumania. Number 29, Captain America Brave New World. That is where it lands for me at number 29. Number 28, Iron Man 2. Number 27, Thor. 26, Captain Marvel. 25, The Marvels. 24, Doctor Strange. 23, Ant-Man. 22, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Shout out Ghost. 21, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Number 20, Black Panther. Number 19, Thunderbolts. That is where Thunderbolts lands as of this time for me and number 19. So cracking that top 20, man. It's at that good halfway mark. I think that's pretty strong. Number 18, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Number 17, Shang-Chi. Number 16, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 15, Iron Man. Number 14, Thor Love and Thunder. Number 13, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 12, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 11, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Number 10, Captain America The Winter Soldier. Number 9, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 8, Thor Ragnarok. Number 7, Captain America Civil War. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 5, Deadpool and Wolverine. Number 4, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 3, Avengers. Number 2, Avengers Endgame. And number 1, Avengers Infinity War. So that is my 36, again, with Brave New World coming in at 29 and Thunderbolts at 19. So that is our updated MCU countdown. And again, I just want to take a second too, from a phase standpoint, because like I said, this did end phase 5. So if you remember, Marvel likes to group all their movies into phases. So I'm going to run them down real quick because it's been a long time and people forget where things are. So so you have obviously the Infinity Saga, which we did the first big bunch of movies leading up to Endgame and Infinity War. So we had phase 1, which was Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, the First Avenger, and the first Avengers movie. That ended phase 1. Phase 2 kicked off with Iron Man 3, had Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man wrapped up phase 2. That's a pretty strong phase right there.
Yeah.
Phase 3 really turned it up a notch because you have Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Endgame, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man Far From Home. So that's the phase right there, man. Phase 3 crushes. And then you get phase 4. Phase 4 kicked off. This is technically the multiverse saga now that we're currently in. Phase 4 kicked off with Black Widow, then had Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, and it ended with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And then we go into phase 5. Phase 5 has Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, Deadpool Wolverine, Captain America New World Order, and the Thunderbolts. So phase 6 will be kicking off with Fantastic Four First Steps, and then obviously Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Also the new Spider-Man, was it Brand New Day, I believe it's called?
That sounds right.
For Spider-Man 4. So that'll obviously be a part of phase 6 as well. So
yeah,
that's where we're at on the phases, and that's where we're at in our countdown. So there we go, man. Any other final thoughts here before we get on out of here?
Oh man, like I said a couple times, it's just it feels good to be able to talk positively about Marvel. It's nice to hear the rest of the world like being happy about it. There's been, like you said, a few lower quality but not bad movies. But you just it's nice to get out of the negative zone. So I'm very, very happy that these characters got the redemption, and it's bringing Marvel's redemption back too.
Hell yeah. Marvel's back, baby. So we're happy to be back. Deadpool Wolverine made over $1 billion. It's the highest rated, most money for an R-rated movie of all time. Things are on the upkeep for sure. Kevin Feige has talked about the oversaturation. They pulled back. They're really refocused, and hopefully, man, we get back to those good old days, right? The Russos coming back. It's exciting for these Avengers movies. We have a lot more Marvel. We have Ironheart coming out on Disney Plus next month,
Right. Hawkeye
in
2.
June. And then, we have Fantastic Four in July. So we just had an incredible Daredevil. So we've had some good stuff, man, that really shows us heading in the right direction. So very excited with where we're at and see where we go. So let's get on out of here. Let's wrap it up. So Frigginz, tell the people where they can find you, my man.
Well, I am on Instagram at Frigginz on the screen, Frigginz, Frigginz with a Z. I have some movie reviews for all the movies I saw in 2023 and all the movies I saw in 2024. I'm a little behind on 2025. I realize we're almost at the 6-month mark, so I better kick it into gear. But I have been joining our buddy Peeps over at the People's Forum. And kind of helping to co-host some of his shows. And so we've done a few discussions like on Daredevil Born Again. So if you want to hear our thoughts on those, and we talk about a bunch of other stuff and things. So you can join us there. And that, of course, can be found on Red Dragons Radio right alongside these amazing Am I Still on the Air episodes that we do where we get to spoil all the spoiler stuff.
Spoil all the goodness. So yes, so there you go there. Of course, you can follow the show at Am I on the Air, all one word. You can, of course, stream our normal podcast every Tuesday night. A new episode drops, always breaking down the latest and the greatest in entertainment news. We got the non-spoiler Thunderbolts episode up. We got a lot of stuff going on. Season 30 just kicked off last week. We got a lot of things cooking in the kitchen, so make sure you check out Am I on the Air every week to get caught up with it all. And then right here on Am I Still on the Air for the spoiler reviews. If you want to watch more videos like this, go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Am I on the Air, and click on the folder that says Am I Still on the Air. You will find all of these videos. You can go back and check it out for any of the other movies that we have previously reviewed. We've also done, our yearly countdowns and a lot of good stuff that we've done in the past. So make sure you check it out over there on the YouTube. You can also follow me directly at DONMEGA as well. So everything else is scrolling there at the bottom. amontheair.com is the official webpage. It's got all the bookmarks to everything you need. So if you forget to find it, that is where it is. So thank you so much for joining us here tonight as we've gotten back with you guys to talk some Thunderbolts, talk some new Avengers, and I'm sure we'll probably be back again in a couple months to talk some Fantastic Four first steps. So we will catch y'all on the flip side, y'all. Peace.
Peace.